or maybe they might not even be aware of it, but that's certainly something that's looking pretty nice on board the Italian boat.
Ineos on starboard lane through now to gate number 3. And they will lead through gate number 3. The other interesting point, Chris Steele can pick up on this at some stage in the future, but Ineos not necessarily getting an attacking duel, because remember they only have 6 grinders, and there's a limit to how much physical grunt these blokes can do. As Ineos now is coming through to gate number 3, this is halfway through the race, and it all goes back to the start that Ineos won. They led at the first cross, and they've been able to hold off a Luna Rossa, because we can hear Jimmy Spittle and Francisco Bruni, and also we can hear also Pedro Sabello with some input as well aboard Luna Rossa. But the clock is ticking away as Luna Rossa goes through at 18 seconds, is it? They trail by 21 at gate 2. They trailed at 8 at gate 1, 21 gate 2. They trail at 18 at gate 3. That's halfway through the race now as both boats are going out to the right-hand side of the track as we look down as they're going downhill. But if you're across over by the Beachlands, Maraitai, Pine Harbour, then of course you're looking up the course where they started. But here we are into leg number 4 of 6, halfway through the race, and it is Ineos leading, and it all goes back to the brilliant start. Right, we'll listen to them on board. Nearly 300 metres. We'll listen a bit more, then Chris Steele will pick it up and translate. It's got a little local pass, but we're okay at the moment. Boundary jive for us yet. Giving Ineos a lead of over 400 metres now.
Okay, setting up.
That's it.
Ready? 2, 1, point down. Starting.
Here goes the jibe of Ineos, way out on the left-hand boundary, as they're looking down the course, because they're going back towards Beachlands area, Maraitai area.
Okay, here we go. Well, I mean, from a spectator standpoint, CJ, this is exactly what we wanted to see. You know, the Brits with their backs against the wall, we asked them to come out swinging and win a start. You know, the lead back, I think, is the key decision there and giving them the results that they wanted. But, I mean, the job certainly wasn't done, you know, at the start line. That was the first box ticked, and they got off the line in front and were able to be in a position where they could control the race. But from there, you still need to be accurate in your decision-making and clinical around the racetrack, because one mistake, and we know the Italian boat is fast enough that it'll get past. But the Brits have sailed a perfect race so far, and choosing when to engage with their opponent and when not to.
Yep. After the start, which they did well, the other key thing, Chris Steele, was getting in front at the first cross. And once they did that, then all that you've just said was the key factor, is they've defended and they defended it well. Still a long way to go, folks, before we get ahead of ourselves, but it's over a 500-metre advantage to Ineos now, as they're in the closing stages of what, a couple of hundred metres to go through gate 4 of 6. And Ineos are looking okay at the moment. They may have extended. Remember, they led by 18 seconds at gate 3. As they now, it is Ineos leading, skippered by Sir Ben Ainsley, as they go through gate number 4 into leg 5 of 6. The clock is now ticking against Luna Rossa. That's only the 4th time we've said it in 6 races in the Prada Cup final. Coming into this, race day 3, with the scoreline Luna Rossa 5, Ineos 0.
So at the moment we've got to leverage that, just normal rounding to right or 2. Hey boys, normal turn up. 3, 2, 1, here we go.
That's Jimmy Spittle. Chris Steele will translate all that from sailor speak, and so we can understand it. They have rounded Ineos lead by 32 seconds over Luna Rossa. Right. Chris Steele, just translate to listeners on iHeartRadio or Gold AM, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for your company. Translate what Jimmy Spittle and Francesco have been talking, and then give us a second edition of what you can see. Chris Steele.
Yeah, so Jimmy and Francesco Rooney were obviously coming to the bottom mark talking about their options there. I mean, they trail by over 400 metres, or just around 400 metres at the moment, and so, you know, your options are very slim when you're that far behind. To give yourself any real chance of closing that delta, remember we're already on leg 5 of 6, to do that in a hurry you need to create leverage. So that's why they went around the opposite gate as the British boat, and I think that was a smart move to do because they identified that the breeze was in a right phase, and you know, they would be going around on the starboard, which means you're in phase with the wind, and the British boat was heading out to the right on port, so they were sort of out of phase. I think that's what you sort of see when the two boats coming back together now. You can hear the voice of Giles Scott saying small gains to them, so the Italians obviously picked up a little bit of a left shift when they were out on the boundary, and they're able to almost cut this lead in half, so maybe the wrong decision there from the British boat, choosing not to engage with your opponents. They split and they hurt them. Now it's getting back to that sort of close delta where, you know, you've got to make it. The next decision is very, very important. Do you engage or do you decide to split? And if you get it wrong, well, that can cost you the race. If you get it right, well, then you should be able to put a point in the bank. So very crucial part coming here. The lead's down to 200 metres, and the sailing boat is sailing fast.
Yep, they're closing in very fast, 180 metres, there's still 1,900 metres to go. It's getting red light warning now for Ineos, down to 150. Here goes Luna Rossa, they're going through the tack and immediately in sync with them. Did you notice that Ineos has gone back with them, both on starboard, both going out to the left?
Yeah, you can hear the onboard audio of Ben Ainsley saying no look tack split in, and that's the mainsail trimmer. So normally what would happen when these guys tack is the mainsail trimmer would cross sides before the tack, but when you hear Ben say no look tack, it means that he's just going to turn the boat and he wants everyone to sort of stay where they are. And the reason why they call a no look tack is because their opponent can obviously see when the mainsail trimmer is running from one side to the other, which gives away when you're about to sort of tack. So technically, it's very easy to read what they're about to do, but by calling the no-look tack, it means they're going to tack without anything changing on board visually, and so, you know, it might catch your opponent off guard a little bit. They might not be anticipating you to set up and tack in that position.
Right, well, the no-look tack and jibe was introduced by Team New Zealand at Bermuda 2017, remember. Murray Jones has just updated us, the breeze still from 220 degrees and at 11 knots, Chris. As now, what are we, 1,200 metres to gate number 5, and the advantage is just over 120 metres to Ineos, but really Ineos has got to get into attacking duel to stay between the man and the mark. Okay, they've only got a six grinders, but this is the last race of the day, and if the British grinders can't get off the boat because they're so tired, they've just got to do it to stay in front, do anything to stay in front.
Yeah.
No matter how much it's going to hurt the grinders.
I think this next intersection, rather than tacking on your opponent here, PJ, I think the Brits have just got to split, come out to the right-hand side and do one less tack, because otherwise they're going to lose that lead very quickly. It's sitting at 150 metres, which should be pretty comfortable. They shouldn't be, you know, the Italians shouldn't be fast enough in a straight line to peg that distance back. But if you're the British team, it's now go back to basics, minimise the manoeuvres, and back yourself around the racetrack to be fast enough and put yourself in the right position with the breeze that you're going to be able to protect this lead.
Right, we're going aboard now to eavesdrop and listen. It's down to 115 metres, and they're coming up to 400 metres to go. Can Ineos lead around gate 5 and into the last leg? We're listening.
Coming on in 20. 27. This lead is closing right up, PJ. It's down to 50 metres now, although the Italians still have to do a tack,
which they're going through right now.
The British boat is going to come back with right of way on starboard, but we're down inside 100 metres now, so currently the lead is about 80 metres. Again, it should be far enough, it should be enough for the Brits to be able to hold on to this, as long as they don't get the side of the course wrong that they're choosing to go to. They're going to go around the top mark left gate turn, and the Italians are going to split and go to the right.
Right, so it's Ineos going through gate 5, they're still leading through gate 5. but certainly Luna Rossa has closed it, and it's a question of which mark they have chosen. Both boats different.
Very high.
Ineos has veered away. Here comes Luna Rossa. We'll listen a bit, and then Chris Steele can translate it all.
So, the interesting thing there is I think the Italians might have made a gain at the top of the course because they went round the right turn top mark, which looks like it had a little bit more pressure. So, this race is certainly fast over. The lead's down to 100 metres now. They're going downwind. And the Italian's going to come back with right-of-way on starboard. So, it's going to get very interesting as we come down the course here, PJ.
So, gate 5. Ineos led by just 9 seconds. Remember at gate 4 they led by 32, gate 3 they led by 18. But the game is closed right up.
My runner.
The tension level is starting to build. Can Ineos hold this as they've got 2,400 metres to go still? And meanwhile, it is Ineos coming across on port. They're in front leading by 150 metres. And meanwhile, coming back into the centre of the course, we have Luna Rossa. Let's listen and then Chris Steele will pick it up and translate. Sailors speak to language we can all understand.
The interesting thing for me here, PJ, is the Brits are going to give away the long jibe. They're going to let the Italians get bow forward on the long jibe, which is quite a risky move.
What's the second? The trap limit?
Yeah, launch on up a look. Go.
2, 1, 4 down. Okay. Right. Ineos going through the jibe. Righto, we've got listeners across the world, Chris, and Gold AM across New Zealand, and not everybody understands what Chris Steele's talking about with a long jibe. I do. Give us a sentence or two and take our listeners with you.
Yeah, so like I was sort of saying earlier in the broadcast, in a perfect world you'd have a course that's set square to the wind, and that means that there'd be an even amount of time spent on starboard tack and an even amount of time spent on port tack. What happens when the wind shifts though one way is those ratios change quite drastically. Instead of it being a course that should be 50-50 split either way, it starts to get stacked, 70-30 or 60-40, and the rule of thumb generally is you want to protect the long jibe, and so the long jibe is basically the amount of time that you're going to spend on one board. So you want to protect the long one, and you can give away the shorter one. But what we sort of saw the Brits do there is they gave away the long one, which is quite risky. But they're still 170 metres in front here, and they're back in sync with the Italians. So from here, I'd expect to see them split with the Italians who have just jibed away. The Brits just need to get this ley line into the finish right, and they should be able to get their first point on the board.
They're inside 800 metres now, 700 metres to go. Very good explanation, Chris. We'll expand on it. Ineos now, their lead is about 180 metres according to Virtual Eye, and they're coming down now to 500 metres to go to the finish. This of race 6 on race day 3. Coming into this race, Luna Rossa led 5-zip, and their dominance in the previous races, including race 5, looked they could make it 6-zip. But now we're poised for Ineos to get their first win in the Prada Cup Final 2021 and keep this series alive. 2 races scheduled tomorrow. Coming to the finish of race 6, and Ineos win. They win their first race of the Prada Cup Final. The scoreline now is Luna Rossa 5, Ineos 1. Outstanding.
2, 1, 4 down.
As Luna Rossa come through the final, and the clock stops at 14 seconds. Right. Chris Steele, first of all, it goes back to the start. You've been hitting us around the head with an